New whip. So I'm building this Soviet tank. It almost looks like an MBT, like a T-64, but honest to goodness, it's supposed to be a medium tank, no composite armor. So what follows is the, not process of me building it, but the stages in between. So build it, talk about it, and also I decided to, cut these up. So normally I would put the funny, if you could call it funny, in between these, but these are going to be two separate videos. They're going to be sisters. Anyway, enjoy. New whip. Okay, this is the tank so far. So I didn't bother recording the process of actually making the shell of the tank, like the rough shell of the tank. You can see we're going straight to, not quite the final version, but pretty close to it. You can see I've already put a gap in my plates. At the visual meshes in Gary's mod, what I've decided to do now is, well, sketch out the details. So seeing this already, they just put a bunch of props everywhere, make it look like a tank. So if you squint, it's like, oh, okay, those are the track covers, that's the hatches, and so on. But that's what we're sitting at now. Might even add like a further slant to the back, make it look more like a T-64, which, by the way, I am sort of going for like a T-64 look. It's a 430, so makes sense for it to inherit the look of a T-64. What I'm gonna do now is maybe make a few more edits to the mesh and begin detailing it. Okay, here we are now with the absolute state of the tank. It almost looks like it's done. Anyway, so the vehicle looks quite a bit different. There's a lot more details everywhere. So I suppose let's start with the track cover. So the upper half of the hull has a V shape. Usually every one of those vehicles there is some sort of stowage bin put over the track to basically sponsor to get some free stowage out of it. The rubber side skirts, however, I do like the look of because they have this slight bevel to them. Also the gap in the middle kind of helps. But as you can see, I'm not really finished with the sponsons. I would like for there to be hatches on all of these so you can open it and put things into them. That being the idea. And also they're missing the back and front fenders. So I just sort of worked on this until I got bored, moved on to the engine bay. So this is the most copy pasta thing off of a T-64. That being said, it doesn't take up the whole engine deck area. So we have this sort of a shrunken down move to the right, and we have some like improv radiators. Trying to use some more Half-Life 2 props more. You can see I have some lockers here for like engine bay hatches. And also this grill is just a radiator. But like the fenders, the engine bay isn't really complete. It's most of the way there, I will say. But I could add some bolts and more panels and fuel hatches. Alright, on to the turret. So the turret has this awkward gap in it right now. I'm probably going to put a prop underneath this to be the exposed turret ring, maybe. But I did go ahead and cut a hole into the face of the turret for the mantlet. There is also a mantlet modeled in Blender. Once that was done, I put some props around. Normally the Soviet hemispherical turrets have this sort of shroud around the gun mantlet. That's usually covered also over with a tarp, but doing tarps in GMOD is basically impossible. Unless you're really good with Starfall or something, I don't know. Next up with the hatches, and these are, very, very basic and could use a little bit more refinement. So we have the commander's hatch, the loader's hatch. And yes, that is a loader's hatch, not a gunner's hatch, because this vehicle doesn't have an autoloader. I'm not modeling it with an autoloader in mind, so yep, we just put them in there like sardines. The stowage bin here was real pain in the butt to make. You can pretty much see the outline of the props I use. Cylinders and spheres. You get the bevel along the edges. This is not fun to do. And the rest of it was actually planes. These are all planes. Normally this would sit on the back of the T-64's turret and there would be one of them, but I have a bustle on this, an extended bustle, so I'm not sure how noticeable it is with all the details covering it up. This container was significantly easier to do. I'm not sure what this is supposed to contain, but beveled box with a lid on it. And we have this, so once again using Half-Life 2 props. This one's Viz clip, kind of awkward, but this is just like a, I want to say 9mm pistol crate with a primitive at the bottom, and it's Viz clipped off. And we have some snorkel, so once again, taken directly off of a T62. And once again, all of these aren't done. They still need maybe some mounting brackets, maybe really basic ones since they're not exactly in a visible area of the tank. Well, right now what I want to do is get this thing functional because I want to drive it around a little bit. So right now everything is in one mesh controller, so I actually need to get a whole base plate, get a turret base plate, even a mantlet mesh controller. But yeah, there's the absolute state of the tank. Probably should have did a checkpoint earlier because there is a big difference from what the tank looked like when I last recorded one of these than what it looks like now, even though the details themselves aren't really finished. Okay, so I got the tank mostly running. Doesn't have ammo or anything yet, or armor. Typically I've been waiting till the model is most of the way finished to get the tank running. However, lately, last couple tanks, I've been getting the tank running earlier on, just so I can drive it around and joyride it. So currently it's running an ACF3, it's not running an ACE. However, I wouldn't recommend copying what I do because I have done a couple of things you should not do in ACF3 really anymore. So one of those is using prop base plate and prop turret ring. You're really supposed to use the ACF entities, ACF base plate, ACF turret ring, and from there you add crew and a bunch of other stuff. However, I've done things the old way, which, depending on what server you join, is not supported anymore. The other thing I'm doing is what I really like to do because I like the steering it gives, that is using my applied torque transmission just so I can steer using the differentials. But otherwise it's honest to goodness running off of these two medium turbines. I guess I can talk about the suspension. So I'm still doing the wheel hub thing, so just a prop that's axis so that it can swing and the wheel is axis to that. The elastic goes onto the hub and you can you can leverage the suspension so you don't need as high of a constant. So it has the effect of having multiple elastics on. Now building the suspension like this means that the hub is under a lot of strain and you have to increase the weight, inertia, or both. And it's also additional weight that goes away from your armor internal components. So probably don't actually recommend doing this, especially because using physical props on an ACF3 tank, you don't really need to do that. However, I suppose it still applies to ACE because we still build with prop base plates and prop turret rings, apply force, or hollow parent turret drives. I don't think I'm going to bother showing any particulars about how I have this set up because I'm a smooth brain individual that unironically likes MDC instead of CTMC. So, you know. From here, I believe I'm going to. So the details I have here aren't finished, like the fenders aren't finished, these things on the turret aren't finished. They do help with the silhouette though. I believe from here I want to add maybe a few more sketch details, maybe add some details to other details, and I think that's going to be it for the first video. I'll have to see how I'm feeling. Yeah, okay, I guess I can talk about the absolute state of the tank so far now. This is the commander's hatch, and most of what I did was just further detailing the details that already are here, or, you know, yeah, passing over them generally. On the hatches on the, like, T72, T64, but there's like this recessed bolt that goes around the base of the hatches, primitives, and this right here is a railway spike from episode 2. Now, episode now comes with Gary's mod, so you don't have to worry about anyone else seeing errors anymore, but this is in mining. But there's nothing particularly special about this prop. Yeah, actually I quite like the way the top of the hatch looks, so there's more primitives. So these are Tauruses, one for the front and one around the edge here, and a Viz-clipped dome. Now this prop I actually like quite a bit, and this is episodic, so this is, there's this under props extra. There's like this, what is it? It's like the base for a crank, and I use this in a lot of places. I actually really like this prop. For the loader's hatch, more of the same, more primitives, more of that prop. And this right here is supposed to be, anyway, a mounting point for the snorkel, which actually should probably be flat now that I think about it. It's coming out at an angle. Then we can come to the storage bin. So the main storage bin So for the lid, I'm using the tombstone lid and more of these like crank bases. Really make for nice hinges. I like these quite a lot. And yeah, free detail from the coffin. But also something you might not notice is this thing right here now. This is supposed to be representing the like rigidity marks that actually go inwards on the stowage bin, but this is actually from S-Profs. This is the shifter base, and if you right click you can change like the pattern on it. I actually like that quite a bit. You can see I'm doing it for this stowage bin as well. However, there's a middle bit. Nothing special about this. This is a muffler, and hey, yeah, it's supposed to be like a sort of square outline. I guess we can come to the track covers overall. So actually the fenders are new, front and back. So the front fenders, these are actually just tubes that have a bevel on them on either side of the fender here. As you can see, very awkwardly put together. And wherever I could, I did these rigidity marks that the Soviet fenders have. These aren't beveled inwards, these are coming out because cutting a hole in this prop that small would just too much effort. But yeah, the front of the sort of shroud, I really don't know what to call this. This looks a little bit different. This is cut off to meet the main armor plates. Looks more appropriate for like a Soviet vehicle that would have like the angled side plating. Alright, for the back we have more rigidity marks and also, yeah, mud flaps. The sponsons still aren't done. However, at least at the back, so this thing uses a turbine and I wanted to have like this big boxy intakes. And for now they're on both sides. But once again, this is the shifter. Shifter with a hole in it. I should just leave it there. Just scaled out a lot. And with a radiator in there. And like a black void. Okay, for the new details, I guess we can go back to the front of the hull. So we have the driver's periscope, which I've got a little recess in the model now. Yeah, I think that looks okay. Maybe it's a bit too big. And I'm not really sure what I was doing for the driver's hatch. But that is a clock in the middle and the rest are primitives. So rangefinder, this thing has a stereoscopic rangefinder. Once again, quite a few primitives, but using a few Half-Life 2 props and Episode 2 props. And this is still again that crankbase. It looks pretty good here. Gunner's primary sight is basically all primitives with the exception of here and there. That is the, what is that? Some sort of button base. And another prop filling it in to act as the glass. But that's everything for the new props, I want to say. Or new details. So overall the tank actually could pass as finished. It's still missing some pretty important stuff, but yeah, I'll take care of that next time. All that being said for now, I'll see you around.